Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we find out if your favorite companies are actually a big deal or just a big deal. Get ready for a peek into a major tech giant's recent dealings, a deal that looks like a big financial move. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you do not miss these insights. Also join our Discord community, linked in the description below, to continue the conversation. Today we are breaking down a filing from Intel Corporation that drops on September 26th, 2025. At its core, this report is about a significant transaction Intel made. They issued and sold a massive number of shares of their common stock. We are talking about over 86 million shares. This was not just a small issuance given to a few employees or executives, this was to a single buyer. That buyer was none other than SoftBank Group Corp, a very well-known investment firm. They picked up these shares at a price of $23 per share, and the total price tag for this deal, not a small number at all, was $2 billion. Yes, you heard that right, $2 billion just like that exchanged hands from SoftBank to Intel. This whole agreement for buying and selling was laid out in something called a securities purchase agreement. It sounds fancy, but it is essentially the contract that spells out all the nitty-gritty details of this massive stock sale. Now here is a part that really tells us what kind of deal this was. Intel says they did this relying on an exemption from publicly registering the sale. This exemption is typically used for private deals, meaning it was not offered to the general public. This implies Intel and SoftBank likely negotiated this directly, and it was not part of a broad stock offering you might see on a stock exchange. This filing then tells us a bit about Intel itself. They are incorporated in Delaware, a common state for big companies to set up shop, and their main address for business is in Santa Clara, California. Their main phone number is listed as 4087658080. For those keeping track, Intel's common stock is traded on the Nasdaq Global Select Market under the ticker symbol INTC. This is where you would usually buy and sell their everyday stock. The main point of this report really boils down to this unregistered sale of equity securities. It is all about that $2 billion deal with SoftBank. Nothing else in this report is as significant as that transaction. There are no huge financial tables here to pore over for quarterly earnings or detailed balance sheets. Instead, this is a very specific disclosure about a private placement of stock. This is not a typical earnings report where you dig into revenue or profit margins. This filing is all about a single event, a large sale of stock that was not made available to the general public. It tells us Intel raised a substantial amount of cash, $2 billion to be precise, by selling a large chunk of its own stock to a major investor, SoftBank. This private placement suggests a pre-arranged deal between these two companies. So what does this all mean? Intel needed cash and SoftBank was willing to provide it for a significant stake in the company. This kind of transaction can happen for a variety of reasons, often to fund new research development or major projects. It shows that even though the stock was not sold publicly, at least one major investor saw enough value in Intel to invest $2 billion. From a Warren Buffett perspective, we look at this as a sign that Intel is a strategic move. They are not necessarily showing us their day-to-day financial health through this filing, but rather a one-off event of capital infusion. While we do not have the detailed financial tables to analyze typical performance metrics, this deal itself speaks volumes about Intel's needs or strategic plans and SoftBank's confidence in Intel's future. Looking at this, we can assess Intel's direction. They are clearly in a growth or investment phase where they need significant capital. The strength here is their ability to secure such a large sum from a reputable investor like SoftBank. The weakness, if you can call it that, for the average investor is that this private transaction does not give us the same granular insight into their operational performance as a quarterly earnings report would. We are essentially seeing a snapshot of a major financial maneuver rather than a full financial picture. A notable risk or opportunity here is how Intel will use this $2 billion. If invested wisely in new technologies or expanding markets, it could lead to significant future growth. If not, it could be a costly endeavor. The opportunity for SoftBank is obvious. They are gaining a substantial position in a major tech company. In conclusion, this filing confirms a very significant private stock sale between Intel and SoftBank. It highlights Intel's need for substantial capital and SoftBank's confidence in Intel's future prospects. While it lacks the deep financial data of an earnings report, this $2 billion deal is a big story in itself. Alright, that is our breakdown of this Intel Corporation filing. What do you think about this massive stock sale by Intel? Hit that like button if you found this analysis helpful and subscribe for more corporate insights. Don't forget to join the Discord. Thanks for watching. See you next time.